my crafty friends, and welcome to week number 11 of the 12-week Get Organized Challenge. We're almost at the end. It's been an amazing, 10 weeks so far, and it has just flown by. Today we're talking about tool organization. And tools are really challenging because they're hard to, you can't really catalog them. Everybody's collection of tools is a little bit different. Everybody's favorite tools are a little bit different. So I'm going to talk today kind of in broad strokes about tools, try to give you some tips and tricks for getting tools organized in a way that's going to work best for you. And I'll show you some of the things that I use as well. So really, the big challenge with tools is we all have different stuff. So there's that, but there's also how you use it and where you use it, which isn't different than any other challenge we've had before. For those of you who stay at home and only craft at home, you're going to be able to choose tool organizers that fit on your desktop or on an easy to access shelf that hold all of your favorite tools visibly, accessibly, right at your fingertips is the goal. For those of us who travel around with our supplies, we need to choose tool organizers that can travel with us if need be. So the first thing I want you to do is gather all of your tools together and make some evaluations about those tools. There are definitely things that you have in your collection that you use every time you craft. Those are your always tools. Make one pile of always tools. I love these. I use them constantly. I need to have them at my fingertips, right? This is how you're going to choose what type of storage you need. How big is that pile and what's in it? Then you're going to have some usual, regularly used tools, things that you use almost every time, but not every time. Then you're going to have some rarely used tools, things that you really like, but because of what they're used for or how they're used, they're not something you're going to use all the time, but you definitely want to be able to find them and get to them when you need them. And then you're going to have this pile of tools of things that you never use. And then you need to go through those tools and ask yourself, why? Why do I never use these? Is it because I don't know how? Is it because I've outgrown them? Maybe they're a beginning tool and you've leveled up. Is it because this type or style of project that works with, something you're no longer doing? Is it because you just forgot that you had it? It just kind of popped up as you were gathering things together and you think, oh, wow, I bought this airbrush tool, I've never used it. Or I bought this stenciling tool, I've never used it. And it's just been buried, so you want to use it. That pile you're going to sort through, and what's left over of the never used, those are things that probably belong in your purge box, right? So if you've been working through the challenge, you've had that purge box, I think since the first challenge, we might have brought it out in the second, but those are going to go into the purge box. Maybe they're going to be donated to a teacher or whatever. We've already been through purging and how to get rid of that stuff. But if you've got tools that you never use, and the reason you never use them is you don't like them, you don't know how to use them, and you don't want to, they're outdated, they're for something you're not doing anymore, any of those reasons, they go in the purge box. And then the other things, you just have to kind of determine, where do I want to put that so I actually can use it? Maybe you even want to put a note on your desk blotter or on the wall in front of you that says, hey, don't forget you have that airbrush tool you've never used, right? Give it a try. Something to kind of spur your memory, we're always talking about the brain, to remind you that you've actually got that particular tool. Okay, so what do? Once you've gotten to the point where you have these are my always tools, then you need to decide before you start choosing tool organizers where they're going to go and how they're going to fit in your space. So, well, I guess first thing you need to determine is, do your tools need to be portable, or are they permanently going to stay in your workspace? Okay, so that's the first thing. So let's talk about permanent workspace storage. So I'm going to show you a few of our products and tell you why they work well, and whether you choose to purchase these or you have them and you're using them, or you just want to look for something similar, you'll know why I like them and what works well for them. Both of these are desk-made organizers. You've seen them before. This is called the Tool Tower. I like them both for the same reason, and that reason is that they are staggered. Sorry, I put my thing on my hand out. They are staggered, so you can put small things, medium, large, extra large. This one actually is designed right around paper crafting, so it has the Tool Tower has these great tall, skinny compartments in the back that are ideal for tall paintbrushes, but also work really well for rulers. So if you're a ruler junkie like I am, the Tool Tower is a great accessory for that. So I didn't load it up all the way. I wanted you to kind of see, be able to, how you can, like all the different compartments in there, right? So the tool tower for long, skinny things, and if you have lots of them, this is a great product. So when you're looking for products, look for something that's staggered. Look for something that's going to hold taller things if that's what you've got. So part of the process of sorting those tools and looking at them is really understanding how big are the things that I have. How much space do I need to organize them? So this is a pretty small organizer. I usually use it in conjunction with the die stamp and supply organizer, which, you know, if you've been watching, I use for everything because I like everything open and accessible, right? As easy as I can possibly make it to get to is ideal for me to just be able to grab and craft. Now, so this one, the die stamp and supply organizer, move this out of the way, also has those same tiered levels, right? Now the tiered levels do go all the way to the bottom in all three sections, but it makes you, gives you a place for taller things in the back, medium, and then shorter things in the front. And what I put in this is everything that I'm gonna use all the time. This sits on my desktop. All of my basic tools are there. Now, basic tools, things you use all the time, they're gonna vary. They're gonna be different for everybody because it's the things that you really love. If what you do most is stamp, then you're probably gonna have a stamping platform or acrylic blocks in here, right? Obviously, I do more paper crafting than anything. I'm getting more and more into my Cricut, so I've got Cricut things there. I've got even my foam block here with my Cricut blades in it. You know, got everything kind of right here that I would use with Cricut right on my desktop. So one other thing, it's hard for me to show, but works great, especially if you need a little bit more space for all of these types of things, is going to be the hang and hold system. So that is in your handout. At the end of your handout, you'll see kind of a printout on the hang and hold and what it does. But if you need to add some extra workspace or some tool space to your desk, left side, right side, or right next to you, the hang and hold is perfect. These are great options for people who always only craft at home because everything has a permanent place. And that is part of your goal this week, is to find a permanent, visible, accessible place in your workspace for all of your basic tools so that you can use them easily and put them away easily and always know where they are. So if you always only stay at home while you craft and you have a permanent place on your workspace, this could also be on a shelf behind you. One of the most common questions I get about organizing craft space is, you know, how to arrange the space. And I tell everybody, without exception, the best possible craft space is to create a U shape around you, so that in your swivel chair, you can get your hands on everything quickly and easily, right? It's all visual. Now, some people will make more of a rectangle and put their desk or their work table at the end of the U so that their workspace is here and then the U surrounds them. My workspace is just a U with a table at the back side. But if I had the space, making the U all my supplies and then having the table in the front that could move around would be ideal as well. So think about that. You don't need a giant space. You need a space that sort of surrounds you for easy accessibility to things. So putting things on your desktop or in your workspace, something like this is a great way to keep all those things visible and accessible. Now, if you're someone who travels all the time with your tools, basic tools, then something more like the Ditto bag. Sorry, this one's not put together here. Let me stuff that base in there. So this is a classic tool bag. We've been making it for years. There are other things, well, there are other tool bags on the market. None of them split open like this. So the beauty of the Ditto is that you can close it up and carry it, or it fits into your lowest tote, so then it'll go over your shoulder, but it's gonna give you space for all of your basic tools again. So I'm just gonna move some of these things over here so you can get an idea. So the beauty of this is that when you are, so in the back, I'll turn that around. In the back, there's a pocket design for paper trimmer, right? This is a Cricut trimmer. And that is so that when you're carrying it, it's not sticking straight up and down because they're so tall. You can take it out of there and put it in one of the elastics when you're working with it, or you can leave it on the side if you have a way to pull it in and out. So one of the things we always talk about with a Ditto is that it will really slow down the crafty creepers that you work with. So if you go to crops and events and there are people there who sort of move their supplies into your space, opening up your Ditto bag sort of creates a barrier between you and them, right? So if I'm gonna use something like this, I just want to make sure that it's actually going to fit all of the tools that I love to craft with. So I'm just going to kind of put these in here so you can get a sense of how much we can hold and what it will work. So these are different. And like I said, these are my go-to tools. These are the things that I am using all the time, right? So those are my Cricut blades right there. So I don't know that I would need to travel with those, but maybe you do. This is my favorite cutter of all time. I don't even think it's made anymore, but I love it, right? I've got all my little Cricut tools, and I am going to, so there's all of these little, sorry, trying to do this upside down and backwards. This needs a cap on it before I put it in there, right? But all my Cricut tools, cutting things, all these guys, I'm not going to put the pokey ones in there for now. But there's pockets on the side, right? Another of my all-time favorite tools, right? This is a Creative Memories paper cutter I have literally had for decades. That's kind of scary, isn't it? Not have had it that long. So you've got all your pockets. These are pokey tweezers, so we're gonna go over here. So you can see, and I could easily put the rest of the things that were in here as well. There's different scissor loops and stuff on the back. So the Ditto tool bag is gonna hold a ton of stuff. I mean, you can easily see how much space I've got left in there. And I'm going to have that accessibility to everything on my workspace or traveling. So deciding which type of organizer for your basic tools is going to come down to that. Basic tools are something you use all the time. You want to be able to take them with you easily if you go, or have easy access to them if you're working at home. So one of the two of those. You could use the Ditto bag at home all the time, just open on your workspace, or you can use something like this that's a little bit more furniture-y on your workspace as well. And then you've got all those other types of things, like big punch boards, big crocodile, big punch boards, which you have seen in easy storage in the Slide Stash and Store. So this type of storage works great on a shelf around in your workspace because you can easily pull it off and on the shelf, but it's also going to drop into a tote pretty easily if you're going to take these items with you to a crafting event, right? So those are all punch boards. Here's another punch board option. So this is our 2-inch store and go bag, and it's a perfect way to store. This is an alphabet punch on the shelf, pull it off the shelf, or drop it in your tote. A little bit bigger tool. This is a button press machine with all the accessories for making it work. Also in the Slide Stash and Store. Could also go right into a tote if I wanted to take it with me that way, and it would stay organized in that tote while I was traveling with it. I could also bring it out to my workspace on the shelf. So there's so many options. The most important thing, I'm looking down here because I do have my somewhere. Let me see. Those are, oh, here we go. So stamp press and stamp pad cleaner, again, depending, do you travel with your stuff? So this is the 1-inch store and go bag, right? If you have some sort of stamp apparatus, stamp cleaner, easy to store in the bag. The other type of product that would work, or the other product that we make that would work well for a huge variety of tools if you want to travel with them or if you need to pull them off and on your shelf, would be the paper taker line of products, right? So you've got 12 by 12, 8.5 by 11, 8 by 8, 6 by 6. So those are going to fit all types of different sizes of kind of bulky things. And what this type of storage does is it turns everything into something that's easy to put up and on a shelf or in and out of a tote bag. So instead of throwing all these things in there loose and then having to dig through, you're just able to pull out what you need. Oh, I want the stamp apparatus. I want the alphabet punch board out of the tote or off the shelf. And so those are the things that you want to keep in mind when you're deciding what type of storage to choose for the tools that you've selected, right? And then locating them around your room comes down to, how do I use them? When do I use them? Where do I use them? How often do I use them? Because you just want to put them into your space that way. The things right in front of you, these are the things you always use every time you craft. The things within easy arm's reach, these are the things you regularly use when you craft. The things that go up a shelf or down a shelf, a little bit harder to get to, but not used as often. And so just sorting your tools into those categories is going to make it a lot easier for you to place them on your shelf or within reach. Even things like this, right? This, for those of you who use Xyron, you'll know how long I've been in love with Xyron looking at this machine. I think it is one of their original machines, but it's something I use all the time when I craft, or I use the little Xyron X. So it's right next to my craft space, right? I can just pull it right off the shelf and bring it to my table or set it on top of one of my carts if I'm using a cart. So even these types of things you want to keep in mind. Maybe it's a Cricut machine, maybe it's a Gemini machine, maybe it's a Creative Station, the smaller version of this. What are you using all the time, and how do you get it handy? What do you have stored? I'll tell you, some of you followed me as I redid my sister's craft room, and she had a full complement of Xyron things. The magnets, the permanent adhesive, the temporary adhesive, 2 different size machines. They were all gifted to her by my aunt. And she's like, I've never used those. I don't even know what to do with them. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love Xyron. So I got them out and was like, hey, you want to have these out. Here's how they work. Here's how easy they are. And when her grandson is over, is there anything kids like more than making their own sticker? No. Well, now she's using all of those things because they are accessible on her shelf. She's got all the different refills together as well. So think about that. If you have refills for your Xyron, maybe they're going to go right next to it in a slide stash and store so that you can get to them when you get to the machine. So think through all of those steps in the process. What is it that I'm storing? How often do I use it? What type of accessories, right? So just like the button press, you have to have all the pieces to use the button press, and you have to have all of the little button backs and all of that stuff as well to use the button press. So you want to store those things together. So think about that in your planning. What do I have that goes with my button press that I need next to it, or I need to be able to access at the same time? So make sure that you're allowing space and storage and organization for those things as well. So in this case, the button press is going to go right there on my shelf. Right, so I've got all the little pieces that I need to use with the button press to create things right next to it, so it makes it easy. Same thing with the Xyron. Get your refill cartridges and that type of stuff all together and keep all those things right next to each other. One other thing that I want you to think about, depending on how much you use a particular thing, specifically, I'm going to talk about the Cricut machine. If you use your Cricut machine all the time, putting it on a cart or on a shelf right next to you. Now, the thing with the Cricut is the mat has to be able to feed in and out of it, right? So you got to make sure you have that space to be able to do that. But your tools, your vinyl, all of those things, keep those things all together and close at hand. If you're always using your Cricut machine, if it's something that's like your go-to crafting item, you want to make sure again that that is placed near you. And sometimes the best option for that is to put it on a cart. I know some of you have seen my Cricut cart. I've got the vinyl roll storage under, I've got the Cricut on top of the table with it. I've got the mats in the pockets down the side and the tools on the hang and hold. And so everything, the Cricut is totally self-contained on that cart. Anything I want to do with my Cricut is right there. So think about that in terms of, there might be something other than a Cricut that you're using, where you've got all those bits and pieces. Maybe they need to be in a cart, maybe they need to be in a shelf space all on their own. But as you're getting organized, make sure that you're thinking, does this have extra tools or pieces that need to go with it in order for it to work? Where are they? And how do I bring all of those things together? So it'll make you really more successful in that tool organization. Okay, so this week's challenge, my friends, and I covered up my list over here, my handout. I buried it. Hang on. Bear with me. There it is. So at the back, so this week's handout, as always, you can download it right off the Creative Scrapbooker magazine page for the 12-week challenge. It's going to have all the links and pictures of all the products that I'm talking about. I'll make sure that there's a picture of my Cricut cart in there too, so you get a sense of what that looks like, or at least the Cricut cart top. I think I have a picture of with the hang and hold on the top. This week's challenge is pretty easy, right? Gathering your tools up, sorting by always, sometimes, rarely, never. I've given you a whole list of questions in the handout to ask yourself about those tools, like why you have them, why you're not using them. That'll help you maybe move them to a purge box or get them out in front of you so that you can use them. Choosing the storage containers that are going to work in your space for the way that you craft. For always tools, sometimes tools, rarely used tools. Go through that process for all 3 levels. And then, of course, I want you to purge out the tools that you never use and that you will never use. Get those into your purge box or get them out the door, donate them somewhere. Enjoy your reward, of course. Make sure that you sign up for this week's challenge on the Creative Scrapbooker website. And then on the Creative Scrapbooker website, we give away a prize every week. And then last but not least, on your handout, there is a contest on the Totally Tiffany site that's only a one-time drawing. It'll be held on at the end of next week's challenge. I'll announce the winner. So make sure that you pop on over to the Totally Tiffany website and register for that as well, so that you might win a gift certificate to our site, as well as the prizes that are included in the Get Organized Challenge overall. Okay, I think that wraps it up for today for week number 11, tool storage and organization. Thanks so much for joining me. I will see some of you live also on Monday. On Mondays, if you didn't know, so you may be watching this early Monday morning, or sometimes it goes up on Sunday, we do at 10:15 on the Creative Scrapbooker magazine website, we do a kickoff each week where I answer some questions and kind of go back over what I've done here today in the video. So if you want to pop in and join us on Creative Scrapbooker magazine's Facebook page at 10:15 Pacific, which is 11:15 Mountain, that's where I am. That makes it 1:15, right, on the East Coast. So thanks so much for joining me today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Have a great one.